everyone, and we continue our discussions with the beautiful people from Meghalaya. We have with us our fellows from the Meghalaya Legislative Research Fellowship. We have with us Motika, Rymbai, and we have with us Collen, Diengdoh. Hi, Motika and Collen. Welcome to this conversation at the Indian School of Business.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
It has been a complete pleasure, for the last more than 1.5 years. We have been connected through the Meghalaya Legislative Research Fellowship as you guys embarked on this very new journey. Motika, you are a researcher, you are pursuing your PhD in economics. Collen, you were a student of international policy and at JNU, I think, before you joined the fellowship. So two of you are from the state of Meghalaya. You have grown up in Meghalaya, and now, this is an opportunity where you are working very closely with the legislators. So my first question to you is that how did you think about joining this fellowship, and what was at the back of your mind while you thought about this embarking on this journey of supporting legislators with evidence-based policies, or the entire purpose of the fellowship, as you know? How did you think about joining this?
I'll start, shall I?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll begin by saying that I am doing my PhD in economics, and the work I'm doing is on macroeconomics and health, and I clearly understand that it's all in the air. My PhD is too broad to understand what exactly is the problem in Northeast. And when this advertisement of this fellowship came in, I was intrigued by the fact that this will be entirely grassroots, it will be evidence-based, and from there I could relate that I will see what are the actual problems that happens at the grassroots level, how are the societies functioning, and to voice out what the people want from Meghalaya, and to work closely with legislators. It would be a great thing because I will be able to put up the issues, the queries of the locals to the legislator. So I consider this a very interesting program. So that's why I joined.
Nice. Yes, Collen?
So before I even came across the advertisement, I would always have back and forth conversations with my father, who worked in government as well. And we would talk about all the schemes that were available for people, or we would also talk about the gaps that were there, especially in the implementation process, because he was involved with a lot of that. So when I came across the advertisement, and I think it was a day before deadline, I applied for it. I thought this would be my chance to sort of voice out the concerns that I felt people might have, or the concerns even I had, about the problems at the grassroots level.
Right.
That's how I got started.
Nice. Okay. So as you got selected, there was this entire recognition probably that was there. You meeting the who's who, the kind of expectations, I'm sure, has been huge.
Yes, absolutely.
Would you like to just talk about that time and that part of the journey?
Yeah, I can say that it all began, our New Year was a total transformation.
Last New Year.
Yes, our last New Year was a transformation. It was a transition from our I'll not call my life boring, but it was something else. It was a transition because we gained recognition. While joining the fellowship, it felt normal. But when we gained that recognition, we felt responsible towards our own people. We felt responsible for the people, for the issues and all the challenges faced. We felt so responsible towards how are we gonna do something for the people of our state. So that kind of continued for the whole last year. So we're hoping to do better this year.
Nice. Yes.
And I think to build on that responsibility, it also created a shift in the mindset of the people and the legislators as well. because when they first found out about the fellowship, they called me. One of them called me to go to him and try to explain to him what the fellowship was about. So there is an interest in the fellowship itself, and I think that we can do a lot to help the legislative process. Yes,
definitely. So yes, it started with, and that was how this entire fellowship was probably designed, that the fellows have to first be kind of equipped with the kind of knowledge, research techniques, with the kind of the research methodology, quantitative, qualitative analysis, learnings, all of that. So how was your learning through this 1 year period from ISB, from the experts that that were there as a part of your entire training experience?
so the trainings that we had were on a plethora of subjects that were beyond my mind to a large extent, because of the fact that I think Meghalaya had a lot of catching up to do as compared to the rest of India. Just generally from the Northeast, we have a lot of catching up to do. So gaining that knowledge from these experts was also something new for us. So this is what we hope to be able to impart through research towards the legislators, so they can also, bring up the grassroots and the people of Meghalaya to the center stage along with the rest of the states.
Let's go ahead and we're talking about, the support to the legislators. So you were able to support the legislators, I think, with the budget session, then the monsoon session, the autumn session. Yes, the autumn session. So how was that support? And I remember in between was also the workshop of legislators in between, where you got to very informally interact with them, apart from your setup in Meghalaya. So how has this journey of relationship with legislators been, and how was the support? So not just the two of you, but even if you can talk from the team's perspective, all 12 of you working for the legislators there.
So
how was that?
There were 12 of us, and we had to support 60 legislators.
Yes.
Very random, I must say, because the allocation was very random. We were allocated to both the people, like legislators of the ruling and the opposition. So
that was tough.
That was tough. Yes, and several challenges faced there. Then we had the Mohali training. A few of us were able to, for the legislators, the workshop, and a few of us were able to attend that. I think it was during that training that they were able to see the kind of work that we can do for them. It created a rapport with the legislators, which we couldn't do before. So that, there was a confidentiality issue as well. So I think that helped to bridge that gap a little bit. Okay. So, yes.
So we cannot deny that all our legislators are not highly educated, but they're knowledgeable, no doubt, all right? But through this program, I feel like they feel more confident about putting up an issue. They feel more confident that we give them that write-up. They are able to present it in the house, and they have been so confident, and they acknowledged our work. Like, I'm speaking on behalf of my other fellows, I'm speaking on behalf of all the 12. They acknowledged our work, and we were so proud to see how confident that legislator was in putting up a certain issue. So I think that we should celebrate.
I think data became the equalizer of sorts, because they came from all different sections of society and from all different classes of society, and they did not necessarily have a prior experience in public service or the education to back that up either. So with the help of research, through the research that we can do for them, that becomes the equalizer for them. To sort of up the ante with discussions in the house or even outside of the house at different forums.
The evidence, basically, the purpose of the fellowship was evidence in public policy, evidence in policy making. And I think we've been able to slightly at least bridge that gap, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And coming to the other objective of this fellowship, which was to improve the deliberations. As Motika was just mentioning, that, the legislators were feeling a little more confident. They were able to speak better. They also had that evidence behind which they
Yes.
could back on.
Yes.
Was that the experience that the other colleagues also of yours also had?
Yes, I speak on behalf of all of us actually, because we've seen how our legislator, the ones we were allotted to, they have been able to stand up and voice out those issues which they might have not thought of, but we've given them and we've able to talk to them, discuss with them the pros and cons of putting up certain issues. So, yes, it was acknowledged.
Right. No, Meghalaya Legislative Research Fellowship is a very, very unique initiative. The reason being that the fellows are being allocated, as you guys have been talking about, irrespective of any party lines,
Yes.
to all the legislators. And that is something that makes it all the more unique. And I think the vision of the government there is very important, where the support is being provided apart from just keeping politics very away
It's
from
true,
it,
yes.
thinking about the governance as such, thinking about development of the state. I think that's something commendable and really
I think
appreciate
it's also sort of defined our relationship as fellows in relation to one another. So we've had conversations about how we must be very professional when it comes to these things, how we approach one another and how we approach them must also be considered.
True. I think the ethics part of it is also very important here, right? Yeah. And okay, so coming back to from the legislators to the research side, you guys also worked on some issue briefs, sectoral policies, right? And you were in conversation and a very good relationship with the bureaucracy of the state.
Yes.
How has that worked?
It all began when we started, when one of the director, Professor Anjal, has asked us to think of an issue which we could work on. Think of an issue which is relevant for the state, irrespective of it being an issue elsewhere. So we selected these issues and it went on for a very long time, where there was department visits. We had to visit some bureaucrats, and we see that yes, there is a problem, there is an issue, maybe because of the highly layered system. So maybe through our issues, when we put them up, we can come up with solutions which are more feasible and more viable for the state.
Nice.
So I think when we were working on the issue briefs, at least on my part, I was very attuned to the social, cultural, religious intricacies within the state, because every village have their own
Yeah, the council,
identities,
yeah.
So their own differences in that aspect. And I think that is important when we're talking about research. It cannot just be about data alone,
Exactly.
right? So we have to be able to talk about what is not tangible, what is felt. And that's where empathy comes into play, as part of the ethical research bit. So that was what I thought is important, and it should be taken into serious consideration.
Yep.
Because when we miss out on those things, people cannot relate to the schemes, they cannot relate to,
Exactly.
it's hard to relate. And when it's hard to relate, it's hard to implement. So that's what...
True. You've actually caught the nerve. Most of the policies are not being implemented properly because they don't reach the people
Yes.
in the way, it doesn't connect with the people in that way.
Yes.
And I think that's what is required. And Northeast focus, I think, of the recent policies is because of the same reason.
Same
You cannot pull up anything and just give it to another place.
Definitely
With the
not.
kind of diversity that we have in our
Yes,
country.
yes.
Right.
To
So
add to
with
that-
yeah.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. Like, we had a conversation yesterday with some people who are from Hyderabad, and of course, who has been to Meghalaya. I said that I only posed a question: do you wish to see these developments, Hyderabad developments in Meghalaya? The answer was no. Because in Meghalaya, we differ so much in our demography, in our climate, in our terrain, that people will like to see Meghalaya as it is, but the developments socio-economically will differ vastly from the mainland. So
Yeah.
that is something that we have to consider always.
I think the pristine nature is something that people will never like to get spoiled, and that's the beauty of the place. But yeah, the development is required in many ways,
Many
and
ways.
I think there is a lot of innovation that's also coming up. The startup parks are coming up. The health sector has gained a lot of fake focus in Meghalaya. So yeah, with the help of all of you, we also look forward to the book on Meghalaya
Yes,
after
we're
you
looking
worked
forward
on
to.
these. So we do hope that comes soon. And with the next set of legislators, we do hope that, the fellowship gets a complete revamp, and, you're able to support legislators in a much better fashion, exactly as per the needs and expectations of the people of
Yes.
Meghalaya. Huge tasks on your shoulder, guys. I hope you are ready for it.
Looking forward.
Any closing comments?
I think it's been a very eventful year that we've had.
I agree.
Right?
Yes, really a huge transition from our lives. But good. For our growth, personal
Yes.
growth, and of course, working for the growth and development of the state. So, yeah.
And I think Meghalaya being not as developed as the rest of the states in India gives it a bit of a head start when it comes to knowing what to go around when it comes to the issues that maybe certain states have had to go through. So maybe we can skip those in the developmental process, learn from them, skip those mistakes, and maybe
And also take
try
up
to-
some of the best practices from other
Yes.
places and
Yes.
use them across.
Yes.
There are beautiful hill states, countries, even in India and abroad,
Yes.
which have developed like anything. And how can you gain from them? I think that's what the kind of exposure we want the fellows to get to,
Right.
and maybe contribute towards your state.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we are fortunate to be a part of this entire initiative. We do hope and wish Meghalaya and the people of Meghalaya the very best.
Yeah, we thank you
Thank
too.
you so much.
Thank you so much.